Tina?
Subscribed for 25 months.
Well, notifications are very quiet. It wasn't so loud. What's good, everybody? How you doing? Welcome on back. As promised, I said I was going to come back with another stream this week, and I'm here. So tonight we are covering a very good channel, Bearing Freedom. This is in regards to Virginia's new big gun grab. And this is like the biggest overhaul in the country right now. There's over 50 actual pieces of legislature running through state right now specifically on basically to ban all firearms whatsoever. It's a complete just melee, absolutely insane take on violating the Second Amendment. It's at the forefront to the point where the DOJ and Harmy Dillon has written a personal letter to the governor saying, hey, if you do this, you know, we're going to be coming after you guys. And so this is a massive change in what was otherwise a very purple state. It's very well balanced in the 40% to 43%, 46% Republican, and then the rest in the 50s being Democrat. So now they're talking about gerrymandering as well, and a massive grab of power. Often like you might see in a dictatorship, and I'm not saying that lightly. I'm not saying it's inside in. This is just the way it is. They're like once they got control, they instantly are trying to get a revote, trying to get change that percentage weighed out so that the state looks to be like 10-1 in representation. And this is just really scary. I mean, this is what's going on in the political field, and we are all the victims of this. And so Virginia was very gun-friendly before. It's pretty well written out within the Virginia's Constitution as well, and this has all changed. And so on this channel, I typically cover a lot of gaming content and the socialization for veterans. And the reason I'm covering this is because the Second Amendment and continuing to train as a veteran, prior law enforcement is a big deal to me. And I know it is to a lot of you as well. And this genuinely affects my life. There are laws in here that would, if enacted, would look to imprison me for possession of things that I have owned legally and built and so on and so forth, that I fully intend to do the right thing here. But I'm just saying that like they're going to make other veterans basically felons instantly. This kind of a thing. And it's millions of people. It's not like a small number. This massively affects my life. It's something where I am concerned in the future of the content of this channel. Myself as a veteran, retired law enforcement, like I genuinely will be affected by this. And it's been a big issue within the state. So I'm gonna do a reaction. I'm gonna cover Bearing Freedom's new upload. I really like this kid. He's amazing. This guy has been uploading content, and he is just growing super fast. Like I probably sub 1,000 subscribers, and I think he's up to 10K. Like within a very short period of time, and he's just he covers nationwide events, but he has been really on the forefront of covering what's going on in Virginia. I find his content to be spot on. It is literally to a T what is going on. And if you live here in Virginia, I feel really sorry for that. I'm covering this, and we have some good news towards the end. I spoke to local FFLs and so on recently this week. But that is the gist of what is going on tonight. So welcome back. Sorry if it all seems like Debbie Downer. I'm going to go ahead and take care of some of the chat. Say what's up to everybody. Thank you so much for the resub as well, Tina. Good to see you. What up, Cherry? How you doing? Yeah. Let's see it. You said first and second. Well, speaking of the first and second, the Second Amendment protects the rest of your constitutional rights, right? So it's a big deal to me. And yeah. As a Virginia resident, this is crazy. I totally fucking agree. I'm really sorry if the audio's off. I have been massively trying to get tech worked out within my shop. And I got this new mic as promised last week. It was absolutely atrocious. And I don't have my XLR down here and my Shure mic, so I'm using USB. So we're still figuring things out. The No Kings party that basically wants a king. Yeah, so this is really tyrannical behavior. And we're going to cover some of that because they're saying, like I always say, they're saying the quiet part out loud. It's not even like a question. Rhode Island is even doing something I feel, people aren't covering this as much, but I feel is almost more terrifying, right? The reason that our founding fathers took up arms in 1776, and made this nation was for this reason, right? Back in Lexington and Concord, the British were going to take and confiscate the firearms of the locals. And so they took up arms and basically birthed the country. And so since then, we have not really had to utilize that aspect of the Second Amendment. But that is what the Second Amendment is for. And I'm going to be honest with you, like recent rulings, Heller and Bruin, Heller made it that it was a Supreme Court ruling saying that ultimately the Second Amendment is for personal protection. It doesn't even require militia service or any of that other stuff. But the question that was asked is, what do you think the Second Amendment is for? And the thing you need to keep in mind is that the government is supposed to be of the people, for the people, by the people, and work for the people. It is not supposed to be the other way around, where we are enslaved by our government. And, they keep saying, the Trump's a king and there's this and that, no king's protest, blah, 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 right? But at the end of the day, all the people making all the claims seem to be doing that exact behavior here. It is completely unconstitutional what's going on. And speaking on Rhode Island, and I know I'm a little flustered about all this because it really fucking gets under my skin. I'm just going to be flat out about it. Rhode Island, last year they did a lot of this. They banned future sales and owning anything, excuse me, not owning, but they banned like all sales and specific platforms, basically anything semi-automatic. And then this year they passed, and they said, hey, we're not coming to take your guns. And now they're saying possession is illegal and you're facing 10 years. 10 years for something you have owned for fucking 30 years. They're saying you're going to prison for 10 years. And so there was a clip where this guy was like, hey, I thought you weren't taking them. So now what? We need to get a license and we need to do this and do that. I mean, you might as well, this is ridiculous. We have to put in a referendum saying that like there's a grandfather clause, and the lady like flat out says, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe we'll just confiscate them all and put you in prison. Like, it's come to that. It really has come to that. And these couple states doing this, I mean, the people screaming the loudest about dictators and kings and this and this and that are literally tyrannically leading their states. And it's scary, man. It's scary because, say what you want, but like everybody talks big about, oh, well, I just won't comply and I won't do this and I won't do that. But when you have a mortgage and children and a life bill and you come home and you serve this country and they're talking about putting you in prison for not doing anything illegal that's not been federally illegal for 250 years. Who's a tyrant, man? Like, I don't even want to hear it anymore. It's like we're being trolled at this point. And I'm not pussyfooting around about it. Like, I'm being flat out. Like, it has literally come to this at this point, and it's scary. It is scary, because if you're facing this, you're in one of these states that are saying, hey, you have possession of this item, we're not going to compensate you either, which is the only way they can get around the Fifth Amendment, which protects you from a unconstitutional confiscation, right? You need compensation. That's probably how you would put like a highway through the middle of some property, right? You need to be compensated. Well, I don't know if somebody's going to come pay you, 10 grand if you own a Barrett or something like that. I highly doubt that's what's going on. So we're going to I'm going to let my man Bearing Freedom cover some of this. I'm going to take some of the comments. I'm going to let it play out. I hope you guys like the new studio and the shop. I've done a lot of work to it. A lot of my life goes into this, so you can see why I'm very passionate about it. And pretty soon, I'm going to be having to bust my ass to basically get everything put together and smith before July 1st when this goes into effect. Because effectively anything built after that is going to be considered what they've come up with a literal new fucking term. It's assault rifle, right? Goes back all the way to the STG 44 and the FAMAS, the French coined this term. There's a little more to it. It's a longer story. Go check it out. Ian on Forgotten Weapons. He talks about it. But they have now coined it assault firearm, like just some made up fucking shit. An assault rifle is a weapon that has a multi-safety selector switch. This is a weapon that will have safe, semi, and an automatic setting. Okay? That is what the term of an assault rifle is. It is a actual military weapon. We don't have access to that. That is an NFA item at best. Okay? And yes, 3-round burst is a form of fully automatic. And that is the definition. So this fucking made up assault firearm and ghost gun, that's another one that's made up. It's a homemade firearm. It's been legal since how else do you think they made guns back in the 1700s? They made them at home. Like literally, you had to get someone to manufacture them. So you making a firearm for your own personal use, as long as you are not selling that and putting it into the inventory, you're not, you don't want to be a manufacturer. And none of this is legal advice. You look it up yourself, okay? Making your own firearm, making your own sword, all that shit is perfectly federally legal, right? So this is all getting kibosh. They're saying no, nothing, and don't worry, we're not coming to take them. Well, look what happened in Rhode Island. So, yeah, I'm rambling on here. I definitely want to, hopefully that hits home for some of you. I'd love to hear some of your comments on it. Let's see. Trisha Marie, we live in such sad times. We don't go a single day without seeing an insane person, like a completely out of their mind person about shit. And that's tough, 10 years ago, you ask somebody like, hey, do you think somebody should, for having a difference of opinion, and they'd say, no, 99.9% of people say, no, absolutely not. That's what freedom of speech is for. Now, that's a totally different field, right? So totally, thank you, Trish, you're right. That's a good point. When are people going to open their eyes? Yeah, I'm there, I am. So I'm going to address this comment too, because it's a great point. And I'm going to give you a bit of my history so you can understand where I'm coming from about not moving, right? Well, you might want to move to Florida, LOL. I love Florida. I've spent many, many years down in Tampa, St. Pete, Bradenton, and Sarasota. Been all over Florida. Love Florida. But I'm originally from California. I don't even think I need to go into fucking details about California. Then I lived in Massachusetts for the better part of my life before. Never touched a firearm in my life until I joined the United States military, and then qualified expert with every weapon system that was ever placed in my hand and trained on, and found this great nation's what the Constitution meant. Raised my right hand, took an oath, did that several times in my life, and I intend to keep that promise. And so for me, I became a massive Second Amendment supporter and gun rights activist after. And I'm a proud gun owner, and it's been a big part of my life. And I got into smithing and building, and I've nerded out on it. And this includes many historical pieces. I got an M1 Garand behind me, 1966 Tula AKM, all the way down to I have firearms from the 1800s, if you will, right? And so I moved away from Massachusetts for these same reasons. Shut up, go to Virginia. They're great. You can go to your hardware store and pick up a suppressor. It's fucking awesome. Yes, you have to go through the ATF for anybody out there. You can't just go to the hardware store, get it. But you can get it at the hardware store, do your forms with the Form 4 with the ATF, and you can get a suppressor. And I have hearing damage. I wear hearing aids from the VA. And this is an excellent thing. I still wear hearing protection at the range, but it's an awesome option. My wife wouldn't shoot if it weren't for being able to use suppressors. And so I moved down here, and I thought, I'm great. Oh yeah, this is what you voted for, Massachusetts. This is what you voted for, California, dude. Now it's here, and it's coming to you too. This is why I'm covering this, man. If you're a veteran and you love your Second Amendment, this is for you. This is definitely for you. Because, I don't live very far away from many, other states where I could move to, West Virginia being one of them, which they're trying to legalize state selling of automatics, trying to basically, they found a loophole within the ATS verbiage that a state can issue a machine gun. So we'll see if that happens. Yet to be determined, but that is the difference. They're like, it is a constitutional carry state, pretty open gun laws. Now I could run, right? And I could do that. And I ultimately have always been looking at land over there, right? But at the end of the day, I would be abandoning the people that I have lived here for quite a while now with and stood for this reason. And so I've decided to stay and fight it out. If that ends up in me going to prison, because look, anything they're gonna fucking try to put me in prison for is literally going to be something that I have acquired legally, done the right things for. I haven't done anything wrong. So ultimately, it's not a matter of if, but when. And this is going to happen to people. The possibility of it happening to yourself or myself, it seems unlikely, but I don't want to play the veteran card. I don't want to play the law enforcement card. Hey, bro, yeah, I was a cop, bro. I used to be a pig, but I used to be a cop. I did for a long time. Good standing, never got in trouble one fucking time. Highest levels of instruction in my department. And I don't want to play that card. I don't want to play the, hey, I joined the good old boy team no, I want to fucking take this as a civilian, as a veteran who's received 2 DD Form 214s, honorable discharges, but I don't want to lead with that. You know what I mean? I don't want to go and say, oh, the only I should be allowed these things. This is everybody. It is so important to me that like no other right is no other constitutional right is fucked with like the Second Amendment. Like if your freedom of speech ended at the border of Maryland, people would be nuts. You know what I mean? If your right to unlawful searches and seizure was just ended at the border of a state, people would be nuts. You can drive from one end of the country to the other on a driver's license issued by a state. But if you have a concealed handgun permit, you can't carry your firearm. You can't bear a firearm. And people go to prison for this, like soccer moms, Gardner versus like Maryland. This is now a Supreme Court case. This is an actual soccer mom case. I don't know if she's a soccer mom, but she fits in that category. Scary shit, man. And yeah, so. Raptor, what's up? I lost all my firearms in a boating accident 2 years ago. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. So that's a take on it, right? Like, a lot of people said that to me, like, well, I won't comply and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So I think a lot of, ultimately for me, I made a choice. And it was like, I'm going to move. It falls in that, like, I'm going to move category. Am I going to move and keep running to just exercise a fucking right? Am I going to suddenly comply with all these unconstitutional laws? And I'm not talking about, like, look, I'm putting my foot down. Any law that's made against the Second Amendment is an infringement. I actually do agree with that. Colin Noir, who I love to death, makes excellent content. This is one of his sweatshirts. Shout out Colin. He's got a shirt that says, any gun law is an infringement. And if you truly understand this path, you understand that that's actually true in the way it's intended in the Constitution. Now, am I going to be like, no, I'm just going to do whatever the fuck I want? No, I'm still going to abide by common sense things. You know what I mean? I want to be careful of that because they always scream common sense gun laws, but like, you give them an inch and they take a fucking mile, dude. And I'm just tired of it, So I've made a decision that, like, look, I'm just going to be reasonably follow the letter of the law, do what I can, including the state laws and the ones they're for me. But I'm going to be honest, man. Like, one of the laws that they've passed, I got to let Bearing Freedom video play out. I've been thinking about whether or not I was going to do a reaction to one of his videos, and I've just decided I'm going to do it. I'd love to talk to the guy at some point too, maybe do a collab or something and chat with him, have him on, because he's really informative. He could speak on these laws. He's got a website I'll post in the chat in a minute. It's really good. He's on point, dude. I like that guy a lot. But ultimately, one of those laws that is being passed is like, you can't carry, no matter if you have a CHP, if you're near a mail-in ballot box or it's like a remote, I don't remember exactly the way it was written, but it basically, on voting days, and there is legal precedence behind this of obviously during voting, that is where there should be law enforcement stage up so you can vote safely and so on and so forth. So there actually is national historical precedence, which goes to Bruin. Speaking on not allowing guns around polls. But the way they wrote this was basically every fucking mailbox is you know what I mean? It basically, it would be impossible to drive down the street many days out of the week, concealed carry, and by the way it's written, not go to prison for 2 years. So I'm going to be honest. I'm just going to proceed as such, man. You can take that to the bank, do with it what you will. I don't fucking care. I mean, at some point we have to ask, but one of us is going to have to put an end to this by saying, you know what? I won't, this is my line. You're crossing the line. And unfortunately, if that ends up in, and it's going to end up in many of us having legal ramifications and issues. It's dangerous shit. So without the vid and Qualinor released earlier about BB gun laws, I did watch that. So I'm going to cover that really quickly. Definitely go check it out. Colion Noir's video is talking. There's a few good videos on it, but I think he was the first one I saw. It's covering that. So New York is another one of these states. They had a shall issue or can issue permit scheme, basically. Jersey did this. Jersey, if you wanted a concealed handgun permit, just didn't happen. For 10 years, they issued 6 total permits for a concealed handgun permit. How the fuck else are you going to conceal a firearm for your own protection, right? It's so dumb, dude. It gets obnoxiously annoying. And I'm going to second another thing too. All these states that make these laws are the literal worst states in the country. I don't know if any of you have been to California, live in California, but pretty much the entire state is a fucking shithole, man. I don't know what else to say. It's literally in shambles. And I blame the politicians most of them that are there, like Newsom. You know what I mean? I'm from Massachusetts, dude. Trust me, man. The gangbangers and everybody else, they bang it out. People who actually, they're not these gun laws don't target those people. It doesn't target the individuals that commit, it doesn't target criminals. That's what I'm saying. And it's annoying. You know what I mean? Because it's not about gun control. It's about people control. They're trying to affect law-abiding citizens. And so New York is another one of these states where, Kathy Hochul, literally the governor there, had to be shut down. She was like, we'll only give handgun permits to who we feel like, and so on and so forth. And the fucking Supreme Court stepped in and was like, per Bruin, if it doesn't fit within historical traditions, basically travel, if you can do a background check, then you can own a firearm, then you can bear it. And bearing it means that you can carry it on you. So how else are you supposed to have it, right? And so he said, you gotta fucking, they shot that down. You can get a handgun permit, right? So now they're trying to do everywhere is a sensitive place. This is the new one. Hawaii is big on this. Everywhere is, so the thing they did, they try to pass a law saying, okay, and I'm getting to this BB gun thing, but they try to pass a law saying that okay, if it's not expressed consent, if they do not express that they are allowing firearms on their property, say a gas station, right? It is illegal to carry there. Now that's a trespassing issue. If you were carrying, right, we have laws for this. If you go somewhere and you were carrying and you were asked to leave, it would be a trespassing violation. But Hawaii wants to make it to where if you go to the fucking gas station, you're now breaking the law because you have gone into a no zone, a gun safe seek sensitive location because they don't have it posted. And who the fuck is going to post it? It is implied that if you're going to go into public commerce, that just as it historically has always been, that you would be able to bear and carry firearms, or knives, or pepper spray, or so on and so forth. And it's just ridiculous, right? So this new precedent in New York, they're out of their minds. They're just losing their minds that they keep getting shut down, right? Recently, DC did a magazine ban that got struck down, so that's in the courts. New York is now going for BB guns. They are literally trying to take Red Ryder BB guns that maybe you admit it, dude. Like, I'm 44. I have a Red Ryder here. I'm not going to ever touch a firearm on a live, but I'm saying, like, I have a Red Ryder BB gun from as a kid. You know what I mean? They're effectively saying that, like, as a grown man, they're going to have to plug that and block it. Like, they're making BB guns illegal. And it's insane to me. Anywhere they do this is historically, like I said, been the most gun-ridden crime area. Like it's not even a question. Chicago, Palmetto State Armory has like a list of 4 places. I could probably pull it up here in a minute, but Palmetto State Armory has a list of 4 places that they basically won't ship to. And the 2 big ones that they just won't ship like a sticker to is Massachusetts and Chicago. Not Illinois, Chicago. Like, literally will not to that state. Now, Chicago has some of the most strict gun laws, and we all know that Chicago is a haven for people using fully automatic Glocks and shit, like, illegally. You know what I mean? So these people are not fooling anybody, dude. And they're saying they're going to confiscate. You're not going to confiscate them for people, criminals, and the mobsters, and people that don't give a shit, cartels. They don't care about your gun laws. They don't care. They don't give a flying rat's ass what you have to think about that. And so, you know, these people, look, they think they're doing good, but they're just coming after patriots like you and I. Like, that's it, man. All right, let's pull this up. So, hold on, I'm gaslighting you all. I don't want to be like a total Debbie Downer, if you will. But yeah, let me pull up a couple of these too. Hawaii has always been very liberal. When I lived there in 03 to 05, they were paying nearly $1,000 a week to unemployment, which was insane back then. Other states were like $200 a week. If I remember correctly, they hate America, and it's shown through hate they showed us while stationed there. Oh, absolutely. What up, Lando? What's good, bro? Well, it's good, man. Good to see you. Bro, that even goes for paintball guns. Yeah, so they're in New York, they're making paintball guns illegal. Now I'm gonna pull up my buddy's video so you can see this. So if you're in this area, you know this is covering you for you, Virginia, but it's coming to a state like near you too. So let me pull this up and let this play. Hopefully this sounds good.
Massive breaking news out of the state of Virginia, and there is no way to sugarcoat this. Last night was a terrible night for the Second Amendment in Virginia. Coming into this week, we had 18 gun control bills that Abigail Spanberger had to decide what to do. Coming from last night, we have 9 that have been sent back down to the House. They have not become law yet, and 9 that have been signed into law. Here's the problem. On this channel, I kind of thought she would make 1 or 2 changes, right? 1 or 2 minor tinkers around the edge, just to be able to push off these deeply draconian, unpopular bills, off.
I miss real quick. Omnar. What's good, bro? How you doing? New Jersey sucks. Yeah, big fucking time, dude. Big time. Man, the workshop looks great, bro. Thank you, Eddie. Yeah, I do got quite a bit going on in here, man. And it goes all the way around. Carpentry benches, the whole 9. Looks really good. I appreciate the compliment to that. And Nerox makes a really good point here. He said, to hell with that. God gave me the right to bear arms, and arms bears. Right, and arm bears. But here's the deal. The Constitution, those like the constitutional rights that are given to you, they're God-given rights. Like, you have to understand something. You are man, right? You're woman, man, human, right? So as a man, you have the right to free thought. Like, if you were the only person on earth, then there would be nothing wrong with you, creating artistic expression and coming up with inventions and having free thought, right? So insert human number 2, right? And so the idea that as long as you were following ethics and morals and doing the right thing, because all laws and all these things, they all follow back into religion. Like, I don't care what you say, they all go back to religion. And that's just the way it is. Like the 10 commandments, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, so on and so forth. And so this is kind of what keeps society glued together, right? But the idea of it is that they're God-given rights, right? So you have the right to protect yourself. You see, the state has no obligation to protect you. The troops protect us at home and the cops, they do this. There is no legal precedent saying that they have to protect you, okay? So then who is it up to, right? It's up to you. And so that is where the right to bear arms comes from, if that makes sense. I love the emotes.
Later until after the referendum. That's not really what's happened. Some of these bills have functionally changed and become significantly worse. The reality is, no matter how you slice it, last night was a brutal night for the Second Amendment in the state of Virginia. In this video, I'm going to go through every single one of those gun control laws. Half of them have been signed as is, but I'm going to tell you exactly what's changed for the ones that haven't. If you are new here, please do make sure to subscribe. This is obviously one of the most insane things I've ever had to cover. The Second Amendment now, unfortunately, is functionally dying in the state of Virginia.
The video in the chat is
that Abigail Spanberger doesn't hate guns.
In this video.
She hates gun owners. All of these laws are designed in one way or another to directly impact gun owners. It's not even, most of these laws aren't actually that effective at curbing even the number of firearms in the state of Virginia, if that was her goal. Most of these laws, with one or two exceptions, have been designed to cause the maximum amount of damage possible to law-abiding gun owners in the state of Virginia. Normal, law-abiding, nonviolent people. And that's the pattern we see. Anyway, guys, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe down below. It helps a ton. It helps significantly more than I think most people realize. And let's get into it. Coming into tonight, the bill that everyone was most worried about probably was SB 749. I'm not sure it's the worst one, but it was the one getting the most press attention.
I was not personally most worried about that.
And we weren't sure whether she would send it back, to wait for the referendum, or if she would sign it. She did opt to send it back. Now, what's changed is essentially she's actually broadened the definition quite substantially of what's banned. And this is important because the semi-automatic carry ban on public property essentially uses the definition from this one. So this, in essence, bans most forms of everyday carry pistol. So previously, the way that pistols were defined is you needed a semi-automatic centerfire pistol, and you needed 2 or more of these characteristics.
Okay, so just to give you up to speed, Senate Bill 749 basically was our assault weapons ban. Assault firearms, their new term. This was basically banning, just the way they originally went for was to blanket ban anything almost semi-automatic. People were scared of this one because it literally, you couldn't buy an AR-15, Glock, anything. And originally it said possession. If you own mags, if you own this stuff, it would said possession. They struck that out. It's been sent up to her desk, and everybody's worried. This is the one DOJ wrote about. It is a shocking like change of laws.
Characteristics. Now, just having a semi-automatic centerfire pistol with a magazine in capacity in excess of 15 rounds, whether that magazine is fixed or not, is sufficient for banning the arm. Now, that's a big change. She also added belt-fed firearms, which I believe is a change, which is just kind of a random ad, and made a couple other minor tinkers around the edges.
Lima 6 is belt-fed.
This is really, really bad. This bill was already terrible, already awful. It bans, every rifle with a telescoping stock and a threaded barrel, 2 features that are exceedingly common on normal, law-abiding, rational arms. It bans, again, the idea that you can ban any pistol, right?
Almost polite.
Is
I mean, look, because your muzzle devices and stuff, this is what keeps you, like, respectable at the range when you're on a firing line, as well as a suppressor. But so obviously having a muzzle brake that's, more conducive to not pushing air out to the sides and stuff, it's a very normal item.
Kind of ludicrous on its own as an assault weapon. Doesn't really make any sense. And banning all shotguns with detachable magazines, which is just, again, an insane thing to do, an insane thing to think, right? Obviously, the way
yellow
you
Tokarev up there
doesn't really have any impact
on
the lethality of the firearm,
fun purchase.
But obviously, it doesn't need to be rational. Again,
the only goofball gun I ever
added, by the way, for this to get passed, now the House has to pass this version again, and then it'll automatically go into law. Whether that will happen or not, it's very likely to, but that still remains to be seen. And of course, I'll keep you updated on that. By the way, also this website's at bearingfreedom.com/legislation. All right. So the other thing that she added was create an entirely new code section.
Let me find his
to
website.
prohibit people who have violated the assault firearms ban from purchasing, possessing, or transporting any firearm for 3 years following conviction. So again, trying to reduce the number of firearms in the state of Virginia and trying to harm.
This one's big to me because there's a lot of legislation that basically says if you F up any of these violations, it's just a misdemeanor. But we take your guns away and you can't buy any for 3 years. But then after the 3 years is up, you can't buy any of the banned firearms. So you're never getting back what you lost. And so a lot of these laws, this is what it seems to me, right? Tell me if I'm wrong. Put in the comments if you think that this is not the way it is. But I think the attempt here is to get as many people as possible on the smallest little violation so they can confiscate, and then you cannot further get them back. So they're basically like F off. You know what I mean? That's the way I'm reading it, basically. Yeah. What up, Maddie? How you doing?
The number of gun owners that she can in the state of Virginia. This probably is worst case scenario, because at least if she signed it now, we'd have the redistricting bump, right? There'd at least be some positive thing to come from it. This essentially means that there is nothing positive to come from it. It got worse, it got more broad, and it also we can't even campaign on it right now. And we can't even sue right now because it's not technically law yet, right? So it just really puts a gunk for all this.
Okay, now here's where I can bring in some good news, right? So I talked to a local FFL. It is a FUD FFL. And what do I mean by that? It is like Elmer Fudd. It's where you go to get wood grain guns, and yes, you could buy an AR there and so on and so forth. But it's a very FUD. It's at a hardware store that has been open since 1888. Family owned, same family. If you can imagine, I literally will spend hours chatting with the fellas there that run the FFL. I love those guys. They're amazing people. And I could go to all the tactical shops that have 240 Bravos sitting on the glass. I choose to go there. I do my transfers there. I love that place. It's a great place. And so, interestingly enough, I'm chatting with him and I'm thinking, man, they're going to put them out of business. And I went down there and he said, no. He said, we're looking to sue everybody. Like, everybody's coming together. And I believe that as long, like if the DOJ steps in and says, hey, we're taking this immediately to the Supreme Court and so on and so forth, I believe it cannot be enforced. Don't take my word on that, but I believe it cannot be enforced until they sort it out. Got my new 2A purchase in today after it was in jail. Which one did you get, Lando? Let me know. Please, for sure, let me know. I love talking this stuff. 14th Amendment, Section 1, equal protection under the law. Essentially, all laws are supposed to apply equally to everyone, including the government. Right. Agreed. I would sue the state over license plate on cars. Live free or die my ass. He said, hey, Orlando. Yeah, man. Yeah, what'd you get? Did you send him to Discord? Appreciate it. Hold on. How come I can't see this chat? Give me 1 second. I can see it. New FFL to pick up your firearms is going to be the jailhouse police station if this new bullshit law gets passed. It will. Yeah. A lot of it already has been passed too. You can show it in Discord. You can show it. I don't care. I think I figured out how to on this. I got my laptop down here in the studio. In this studio, I haven't actually looked at Discord in a couple of days. Sorry to anybody who might have written out to me. I haven't been keeping up with Discord. I've been filing taxes. Another shitty time of year. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna play this out.
The Second Amendment organizations and all the Republican organizations too trying to fight on this. The semi-automatic carry ban in public.
Got it.
I thought this might be the veto. I thought she might veto this. There was some talk around in Virginia that might be happening. She didn't.
Lando, that shit is sick, bro. Dude, I'll pull it up after. Here.
Clearly never considered that. That was completely off base, completely wrong. The current law, right? This is an expansion of a current law. The current law restricts carry in 13 specific cities and counties. This is just incredibly broad now, essentially. She's kept the statewide scope. Now, what she did change, and this is kind of a weird detail here, is that this is the amendment that she's proposed, is she changed it so that loaded firearms is not struck out. But here's the weird part. In the title, carrying loaded firearms, sorry, I clicked that button by accident. In the title, carrying loaded firearms in public
really
areas
weird.
is prohibited, right? Loaded firearms. But in the actual text, the word loaded is also still crossed out. So it's a little bit ambiguous. But from my reading of it, she's actually still allowed unloaded firearms to be transported. And that was insane to begin with, right? Like if I have an unloaded firearm.
Yeah, so this is a weird one too, right? So if you own anything, basically anything that's on the wall back there, basically you can't transport it. So if you own it, you're like, oh, well, you own it. You're grandfathered in. You're good, bro. But you can't go sight it in. You can't train with it, therefore making it identifiably more dangerous for maybe you need to train with it. Maybe you're new to the Second Amendment. Maybe you just became old enough to purchase your first firearm, right? There's that. Or maybe you need to do a repair. How in the heck do you get to the gunsmith? You can't. And so this is, it's not even a question anymore. It's absolutely unequivocally trolling at this point. I'm going to pull up Lando's picture real quick. So you said I could show it. I'm going to find this sucker. Hold on. You know what? I'll do a slideshow, bro. Sorry. Bear with me. I know you guys want to keep going. This dude's content is amazing. Okay. Loop. Files. Here we go. Add files. Open. There you go. Yeah, baby. We got a P90, man. That thing is awesome, man. Amazing. And suppressed, too. Super high speed. I love it, dude. That's great. That's great, man. Congratulations, brother. Thank you for sending that to me.
In a case, how the hell is that making anyone in danger? It doesn't make any sense at all. Like I can't transport, an AR-15 unloaded in a case anywhere in Virginia. Doesn't make any sense. So this again is a very serious law. It applies to all public roads, public parks, public sidewalks, basically the entirety of the state. And it looks very much like this is basically going in, and it's really bad. Again, there is no CHP carve out here. If you want to carry one of these guns, you basically just can't. The under 21 handgun and firearm purchaser license, this one actually, from my understanding, did get better. Again, it's a little bit complicated the way it's scored up here, but it seems like a lot of the fingerprinting, 45-day processing, all of that has been stripped out. Again.
Okay, they were talking about under 21, you couldn't buy any of these firearms and so forth, right? So what if you already were? This included American servicemen and women. So if you serve and you have a firearm and you own it in the state of Virginia, you are literally carrying a 240 Bravo when you go out to the field and when you go on deployment. You shoot a fucking AT-4 or a Javelin. You qualify in an M1 Abrams or a fucking Striker or whatever. But you can't carry a handgun per the law now. That is from the Constitution that you're fighting for. Dude, shit pisses me off, man.
It still does ban people under the age of 21 from legally possessing these sorts of firearms, and that's very likely to pass, is just the reality. HB 21, Firearm Industry Civil Liability, that passed with a signature. This basically opens up all gun manufacturers and people dealing in the gun space to massive civil liability, not for doing anything illegal.
He's saying here, this one makes it, if you sell like a gunsling or you sell anything, right? You're an FFL, you're a manufacturer, you make She's trying to make it so that if you have a sling on your firearm and the firearm is used in a crime or something like that, right? Then everyone and their mother can sue you into oblivion, from the FFL that sold it to the manufacturer who created it. And that is the way they're trying to go about this, to basically make it a gun-free desert. They even if there are things that are still allowed and they're like, well, the Supreme Court ruled on this. This is how they're like, nope, not on my watch. You can't even sell a fucking sticker if that sticker was involved where you're suing. It makes no sense. Like if Ford sold an F-150, right? This happens all the time. People have DUIs and accidents, right? And there are fatalities involved with someone under the influence and they hit someone. It is a crime, right? It is absolutely a crime. And they are driving a Ford F-150 or a Toyota Corolla. You can't sue fucking Toyota or Ford for this individual's choices, right? So this is another massively unconstitutional, stupid fucking bill, right? Like this is so dumb. The fact that they're making this a thing. And that one pisses me off as well. Omnar said, man, I got a bullpup 12 gauge recently, a Rough Rider revolver. Dude, look at, I got a Colt Python. I don't know if you can see it. I might have to get away. And then you were talking about bullpup shotgun, that yellow Tokarev up there. I don't know how I get this to zoom in a little bit here. I don't know, maybe I just walk back here a little bit. Thing's terrible focus, man. But yeah, that Colt Python's pretty cool. Well, Walking Dead, Rick Grimes, man, that was his machine. You know what I mean? Thought you'd appreciate that. But that Tokarev's a bullpup too.
But for, like in the case of this,
never even fired
robbed
it.
From, right? I get robbed, I get sued, right? Exactly like that. From not preventing auto installations. I sell a gun to a criminal. They put something that's already federally illegal on the firearm, and then I get sued for their actions. And again, trying to make it as inhospitable as possible to the gun owner. HB 40, this turns random people into felons overnight. This was signed in full by
This affects me.
This is the law of the land.
So I was, I'd love to be secretive, and we were talking about moving, and I lost him in a boating accident, and it's funny. I love you guys. Please put in the comments. I hope this doesn't ever affect any of you. But for me, I've chosen to, this is where I'm going to stay and take the fight. I'm going to stay in Virginia. And if you want to fucking arrest an honorably discharged veteran with zero record at all, that has done everything legally, worked in law enforcement honorably for years and years and years, and does services with veterans still to this day, and you want to arrest me, then fuck it. Do it, dude. So that AKM that I built, I did that. It took me 2 months, every single measurement. It's a Tula AKM. I saved it from being destroyed effectively. And so I built this AKM on a receiver that I custom built myself. This is worth thousands of dollars, right? This historic piece. And it had never been fired since way back before I was born. And from nothing, from the ashes, I built this thing back up. But because it's unserialized and it's homemade, per the standards and per the statute of 922R under the ATF's requirements of no more than 10 parts on a foreign weapon and so on and so forth, the new law effectively says that I'll be facing a minimum of 2 years or 10 years, up to 10 years, if a judge is feeling froggy. As I just explained, who I am and what I do, would be facing up to 10 years in prison if I do not run that down and get a serial number placed on it and do a background check on a gun I owned and built and smithed myself per the fucking Constitution and per the law. This is a perfectly legal thing federally across the land. Now, your state may differ, and there is verbiage in there per the ATF's ruling that says homemade firearms, if your state requires serialization, that's a new thing. Right? So they say this is aimed at 3D printing, but this is going to affect anybody who's ever done an 80% lower aluminum, polymer, anything like that. This is absolutely going to jam up some people. I have a shotgun, right? It is a Sears and Roebuck shotgun. It was bought out of a catalog. It was gifted to me by an old old hunting buddy of mine when I was a young kid. All right. This firearm has come down through my family. It didn't have a serial number on it. Why? Because prior to 1968, firearms were not required to have a serial number. I don't know if you know that. That's something you can check, okay? So this shotgun, it is a bolt-action shotgun. Does not have a serial number. They're saying right? United States Army infantryman. Again, law enforcement officer of 10 years. Done everything by the letter of the law. Honorable citizen, no record. Would be facing 10 years for a fucking antique. Tell me it's not. Tell me who's kings and what's tyranny. Where do you draw a line? Where do you say, fuck you? Like, I'm still going to be reasonable and honorable, but like at some point, I'm sorry. Like, you're going, this is going to jam up. This is absolutely going to jam up some 80-year-old dude who fought for his country. I promise you. Some old lady who fucking got some shit handed down when her husband passed away is just going to be driving and get fucking jammed up for this. I guarantee it. And what are they going to do? You have minimum sentencing guidelines. So, yeah, you can tell I'm really pissed off. Sorry, I'm getting a little flustered about it. I didn't really expect to be so much, but I'm very passionate about this, all right? I think it matters intensely for our kids. A lot of our children, they think they know everything. And no, I live in this super safe world behind my phone. And they don't realize how quickly the world can just fall apart, And so the reason we stand for these things is so that inevitably, hopefully not their generation and not the generation after them and so on and so forth, that for a long period of time, we will be free, safe men and women. And so we do this for them, and I'm good with it. I'm at where I'm at with it. And it is what it is. And Pat's right. He said, bills like this are litmus tests to see how far we can allow it, how far we allow them to take it. It is. It's a push. They're pushing the goalpost further and further and further, right?
It's not taken effect yet, but it is the law in the land in the state of Virginia. Essentially,
homemade
if you have
firearms.
a plastic firearm,
Ghost guns is a fake term.
When this takes effect, you will be a felon overnight. No discussion. You're going to be a felon overnight, unfortunately.
Johns,
Again,
you're right, John.
Lawfully purchase firearms, turn you into felons overnight. Absolutely ridiculous. The ghost gun ban, which is the second part of that, this affects any non-serialized firearm. Essentially, the first possession is a Class 1 misdemeanor, so it's up to 12 months and a $2,500 fine. And the second offense is a Class 4 felony, a minimum sentence of 2 years for simply owning a gun that is currently legal in the state of Virginia. That's the insane thing. We've seen all over the news, right, what Democratic politicians have done with violent criminals, right? You see these violent criminals and they're out on the street like a week later. And you, for possessing a gun that you currently lawfully own, right? Maybe you already bought 2 of these, right? Legally right now, which you can buy. You'll go to jail for a minimum of 2 years, maximum of 10, with up to $100,000 fine.
Yeah, they're actually, there was a statement put out today. 4 Boxes Diner talked about this. So frames and receiver rules. This is why this is fucking dangerous, okay? This is why this is extremely stressful. Because when does a piece of metal become a firearm? Right? And Congress is the one that passed laws, but the ATF passes rules. And don't even get me started on that. But the ATF's former rule, and it was changed by President Joe Biden and his era of lackeys, basically turned it into that it used to be 80%. If the firearm was not completed past 80%, they had a ruling on it. It was pretty clear. They fucking changed that. And they're going after anybody who had 80% lower. So an 80% lower, to anybody who doesn't know, you could go online, and as long as it was basically between 80% down to 0%, let's take a block of aluminum, right? Block of aluminum up to 80%, right? You could have that effectively sent to you with no FFL. And if you have all the fucking tools to do a project like a damn Boy Scout, of course you could effectively make a homemade firearm. And so many people have done this. This has been a historical tradition for 250 years, right? The problem is polymer 80 obviously wasn't around 250 years ago. So the ATF's argument is like, hey, it takes these people 15 minutes to make a gun with a drill and a little bit of tools. It comes with drill bits and so on and so forth. This is ridiculous. Okay, fair. There's some argument to be made there. I'm not even going to like bitch about that. I'm not like that crazy about it. I kind of understand where there's some issue with it, I suppose, right? I guess, you know. Okay, I'm good with that, right? But the thing is, I've done a polymer 80 kit before. It isn't 15 minutes. I am extremely skilled. You know what I mean? Like, I have built homes from top to bottom, fixed vehicles, pull engines apart, done on my own. My first AK-47 build I've ever did, perfect. And that's a damn process. You go look at Brandon Herrera, he'll tell you, the first AK you build, you ain't going to get it right. I got it right. To the exact specification. Headspace perfectly. Ran through 2 magazines. Not a single shot messed up. I'm a damn good smith. Man of many trades, right? And so a lot of people like me, old timers included, men and women, have sought out the historical tradition of making a homemade firearm. And it's a cool aspect. Not just because you don't have to go out and do a big background check, because the rule still applies to you. You still have to legally be able to own a firearm. And it's assumed that if you've recently done a 4473, which is a check into the NICS system, the FBI background check, that you can effectively own a firearm, right? Like if you could pass that and you get a check back from the state police saying, yep, you can take a firearm, you can buy a shotgun today, then obviously you could go home and make that, right? As long as you were acting in good faith and you knew that you have no record and no warrants and all this other stuff, then there's no reason why you couldn't do that. They're completely changing that, and the verbiage that is being used unanimously, the new propaganda is ghost gun. Like, they're scary ghosts. You can't find them, right? Like they want to make you believe that people are scratching the serial numbers off of guns. That's a crime, dude. Those are fucking crimes, dude. That's already covered, right? But some dude who decides the CNC machine, an AR-15 lower receiver, obviously has the means to do so and is very likely probably not fucking using $15,000 worth of machining equipment to go commit a fucking atrocity, right? If they own a $150,000 machine shop, they're probably, you know what I mean? Like, so it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't know. John's right, though. John Castile said, we haven't been free or safe in forever. And this is kind of my point, right? It's our founding fathers. I'm telling you right now, go read like George Washington's journal. He was fucking scared, man. He was really stressed out. And, you know, he was looking for a command. Everybody around him was like a British officer, if they had military experience, and they were losing. They weren't doing well. And you know, these all are guys that wanted his job. Ultimately, if they would win, they wanted to be president. They wanted to have a job. And he, you know, it was bigger than that. And he writes in his journal, like, I want to quit. But if I do that now, no one is going to step up and take my place. Very scary, right? And so he decides to go through with it. And you are an American today very much in part because of that. All right? And that speaks dearly to me, right? And it's a big point of contention for me. Those guys knew that one day some generation was going to have to make the same fucking choices. You know what I mean? And I'm not sitting here trying to suggest anything or anything, but John's right. I think we're in a pretty insane, troubling time, man. Like, warfare has changed massively. It's scary, man. Let's be real. You know what I mean? Like, all the stuff's going on. Like, you don't really have a lot to combat that. But the Second Amendment is just this cool aspect. Russell Brand nails this perfectly. He says, you know, he's like, you know, the cool thing about having the Second Amendment is it gives a man an option to, like, say, fuck it, I'm going to take, I'm going out with a bang, It's kind of funny, but it does. It's a security blanket, It's a hobby. It's an amazing thing to be trained in arms. And they say an armed society is a polite society. And clearly everywhere where people aren't fucking armed are all the places where 9 out of 10 cars don't let you into traffic. I've lived in these places. All right. They cut you off, and people who shouldn't have guns, and people, it's real crazy. It's really dangerous. And I'm not saying there aren't dangerous people everywhere. The places I've moved to, out in the country and so on and so forth, have, everybody's carrying. Everybody's super polite. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's just a side note on that. I'm going to keep letting this play.
Essentially ruining your life, right? They want to ruin people's lives. They want to ruin the lives of gun owners. The idea that you can even retroactively, without a grandfather clause, do this to someone is obscene, but that's the state that we live in, unfortunately, now. This law is essentially just expansion of current domestic assault laws as it relates to firearms. This was signed in full. This is a law that deals with the mechanism by which you surrender a firearm after a protective order. Again, signed into full. I'm just skipping over these because this is more of an overview video. I'll do a detailed deep dive later on.
I agree with you,
the
Eddie.
details are kind of annoying and kind of boring, so I'm just trying to kind of give an overview, at least for this video. The red flag law expansion is also brutal, absolutely brutal. So initially, there was only 2 people that could petition the government to have your guns removed for life, and those were the attorney for the Commonwealth, like a prosecutor, and any law enforcement officer. Now it's expanded it to a list of 18 people, which includes just generic doctor of medicine, right? Doctor of osteopathy. Like, what are we doing here? Like, it's absolutely insane, right? Designee of local community services board, right? These are just random people that now can petition the government to have you disarmed for life. Absolutely insane. Mandatory firearm storage law, another one that was crazy.
So that one's crazy, and there was another one with intimate partners. I don't know if he's already covered it or not, but it's basically like, let's say you go and date someone and it doesn't really work out, then they can go fucking petition to have you disarmed. Like how could that go wrong, right? Like, that's never fucking happened before. Yeah, Eddie's right. The Overton effect, right? Like, see, Overton window, same thing happened with gasoline. It went from 99 cents to over $5 a gallon for months. Then when it dropped down to $2 to $3, we were happy to pay that over the $5. Yeah, oh, absolutely. That's called it's another term for it too, price anchoring, right? You see one thing and you go, that's terrible. And then you get another price and you go, oh, well, you get scammed by basically saying, $5. Okay, we got a little bit over here. That's $2, $3. And you're like, oh, I'll happily pay that. You know what I mean? People bend over pretty quick. Obviously, very different things where I just don't want the chat to get too far ahead. Obviously, very different things when you aren't a criminal for gas, but that's just one example. Well, I mean, gas is going up to 15% mandatory ethanol. That's coming. Like May or something. It's coming soon. Like, you will have, it's not 10% anymore. You're going to have fucking 15% ethanol in your gas. When's it going to be 20? When's your car not going to work anymore? Or your small yard equipment? It's getting freaking dystopian, dude. Just a bad place all around. We have 4-star generals getting fired for refusing orders by the president. We are broken at the top. It's already here. That's why I'm running non-ethanol gas 91. Agreed. And there are videos that show you can look them up on YouTube, how to remove the ethanol from your gas if you're worried about this. You can actually do this at home. If you get 4 cans of gas, most small cars are going to be like 10, 15 gallons max. And if you get yourself some gas cans and through some processes, you can effectively remove the water. I would use a higher octane. I'm no specialist in this, but the maths, right? The maths be mathin'. And I believe the octane lowers. You have to look into this. I would do some Googling. But I think there are some options. But you got to get crafty with your hands. And that's another reason, another big part about being brick by brick, right? I've talked about training. I've talked about, I know I still look, I still got a little bit to lose. But I don't look swole or nothing, you know what I mean? But I can go out and fucking run 5 miles right now. Well, I got 90-pound dumbbells. I do them for a set of 12. You know what I mean? Like, I can get up my pull-up bar. I'm not bragging either. I'm just telling you, like, I am fucking all out trying to be a better man. Like, I'm just trying my ass off. I'm 44 years old. I want to be a better dad. I want to be the best husband I can be to my wife. And I'm trying to bring a lot of other people with me to do the same thing. And I think being trained in arms is important. I think doing martial arts is important, or some form of defensive training, right? And so being good with your hands is included with that, right? You pick, it doesn't, you got to be perfect at everything, right? You want to be a doctor? Go learn medicine. You could, look, I'm not saying you're going to get your doctorate, but there's no reason that if you don't want to be a person who's good with medicine, you want to be that person in your group, go do it, right? It's all out there for you. There's tons of homesteading books. Learn to fix things. Learn to fix engines. Learn to fix your home, all right? Start small. Don't freak out. It takes time. But get some skills, all right? And that's the point of that. I hope that fucking resonates. Ethanol is horrible for your engine. Yeah, go watch Project Farm's video on it. It burns completely different, dude. They have a glass cylinder head, and it shows the explosion. It's massively different, the way it burns. And wear out your engines out due to the increased temps, due to carbon deposits. The direct injection engine is not good for turbos either. And all your rubber seals and stuff, not good. Rock, not good. Totally agree. Unreal what is somehow being allowed to happen. And it's happening everywhere, dude. It's happening, and it's not just Virginia. I think a big reason, my wife pointed this out, the DOJ wrote down to Abigail Spanberger and said, if you do this, we're coming after you. Harmeet Dillon, amazing. She is an incredible person for the Second Amendment. I'm really happy to have her around. But, my wife made a good point, and she said, I was reading in the comments where that was videos were saying that the DOJ wrote the governor, and they were like, what about us in New York? What about us in Rhode Island? What about us in Connecticut? What about us in Jersey? What about us in Massachusetts? What about, and so on and so on, California, Hawaii. And I really felt for those people. My wife pointed out, all the big time politicians, letter agencies, people, they all live here. She's fucking with a pretty large group of people that probably can pull a lot of strings. And I got to be honest, it's super stress relieving, but I feel wicked guilty, man, because I feel like there's other states and people out there that aren't being represented there's tons of cases where, they have waiting lists, they have all, waiting periods and stuff. And you got some young lady out there who's being, she has a case where somebody's stalking her or something. And, she doesn't have access, and then something tragic happens, right? Like, dude, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with these people, but, it's pretty clear. You know what I mean? The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It's fucking simple. They wrote it that way for a reason. You know what I mean? It's nuts. It's nuts. This isn't there. They shouldn't be allowed to do it. It's a right, not a privilege. You just cannot sell it. An elitist class cannot be the arbiters of the Second Amendment. Agreed. Gun owners, I'm reading this a little backwards. I do apologize to you, John, a Raptor there. Gun owners we have on the interior of the U.S., which outmans our own military by 3 or 4 to 1. Yeah, I mean, we'd be a pretty badass Virginia Fluffy. Yeah, what state is it? Virginia Fluffy. Oh, yeah. What up, Fluffy? By the way. Brick, you could share the photos I sent you if you want. I got you, Raptor. I'll do that. Those aren't laws. That's tyranny from people who were not born in America. That's another thing, too. One of the guys that passed a lot of these laws, he's from Bangladesh, man. And there's something like 80-something% of people in that country, if I'm not mistaken, are big on Sharia law. And this guy, he's a naturalized citizen, well off into his later years of being an adult. And he's tried to pass, there's another law he tried to pass, and they didn't strike it down. They were just putting on the next session, which has to do with, I want to be very clear about this because I don't want to come off sounding like I have any problem with culture or anybody like that. I want to be very clear on what I say. He's making an Islamophobia hate law, right? Now, I have no problem with people defining, like there should be no hate crime, right? I don't care what culture you're from, what religion, what race, what creed. It's not right. All should be equal. All men are created equal, right? And I agree with that. And I have personally read the Quran. I have been around plenty. So I have good friends who are wonderful practicing Muslims, right? No issue with that. However, when you categorically reverse the effects of, doing what Britain, this is happening in the UK right now. And it basically, they have laws because they don't have the Second Amendment. They're attacking the First Amendment. And so over there, they have laws effectively saying that, like, hey, if you offend someone, or this has nothing to even do with this. It's just that the simple fact that this fucking guy happened to make a law based on his specific culture that's very specific to him. That sounds wicked dystopian. That sounds like 1933 middle of Europe type shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way it sounds to me. I'm not fucking down for that. Get out of here. Get the fuck out of here. You call me what you want. I'm not going to choose my words wisely on that. That's exactly the way that seems. All right? Because I wouldn't get into power and then make a bunch of laws for, a bunch of white folks. You know what I mean? I wouldn't do that. Like, just sounds really fucking crazy. So Britain has done the same thing. And Britain has laws that are basically effectively like, there's an actual case of a woman who she had a domestic violence issue with her significant other. And she effectively called this person to her friend in a text message. She said, he is such an expletive, blank expletive, right? And this expletive happened to be homophobic in nature, right? But under free speech, regardless of what she said, she felt about him, right? The idea of free thought is you can be mad and say those things so long as it's not actually going to incite violence or harm, right? There's a very small amount of things that you cannot say. And this is important with the Second Amendment because the Second Amendment is supposed to be there to protect the rest of these rights. They truly do not have free speech. That woman is now going to jail for 32 months because she acted out in a fit of anger from her getting her ass whooped by her boyfriend and wrote her fucking girlfriend something that he caught and said, oh, that hurt my feelings. Bro, we are one step away from that level of dystopia, dude. Like, and I just to be honest, like, I've chosen to make a stand on it, where I'm at, I think I'm a very reasonable person, very common sense. And I think that shit is just, I don't know. It's just totally against what I feel in my soul, man, And I don't know how else to say it. I'd love to hear your feedback on that. If you got any other stories, put them in there as well. Yeah.
Her change was to turn this from a Class 4 misdemeanor, which is just a $250 fine, no big deal, to a Class 2 misdemeanor, so 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. And I said that she was going to try and do this. This was one I predicted perfectly, and she did.
Sorry, I keep pausing it. I keep yapping, but I gotta get it out. I live in Florida, suppose somewhat disconnected from the issues. Hopefully the citizens of these states stop voting for this nonsense. It hurts to hear that. I used to say the same thing you're saying, Fluffy. I started the stream and I was talking about, I'm from born in California, lived in Massachusetts. And I used to go, those fucking idiots voted for that shit. And I moved away and I ran. And you said, I'm from Florida and I suppose I'm somewhat disconnected from these issues. Yeah, well, this was just, if not as good as Florida, Virginia was fucking, I just talked about it. You can go into a fucking hardware store and buy a suppressor here. Like, yes, you still have to do your Form 4, but that's what the heart, like, I'm not talking about, like, I'm talking old school mom and pop hardware store, bro. Virginia was very gun-friendly state. All right? It's over. This one fucking person got in she edged in. People don't want her now, and now they're redistricting everything. Nobody's voting for this, by the way. This is just shit they're pulling. Like, this is a hostile takeover of my state. And what am I going to do? I'm going to keep running? I'm going to keep going to different states? This isn't directed to you. I'm letting you know. I feel guilty for all the times that I said that before. And I bring it up to you, so hopefully you can have some understanding of where we came from before this happened to me, I was right with you. Fuck it. I'll just move to a state that none of this shit will happen. What happens when it happens to you? What happens when so many people move in to that place and try to make it like the shithole they came from? And I mean shithole legitimately, because if you're not America, you're second place through whatever. I'm not trying to be second place, bro. I'm very happy with the country that I'm from. Everybody's got their problems. We got our problems. Say what you want. I don't want to be second place. I don't want to be like anywhere else. I want it to be America. And so, yeah, I feel totally like you did too. It's just what happens when it comes to you. I mean, Texas has a ton of migrant individuals coming in to move into their state. And the recent voter ID thing, I mean, if that fucking doesn't, if that's not a thing, if we don't have voter ID, then what's to stop 40,000 votes coming in from China or Russia or just random people that shouldn't be here, right? And then what does your vote matter? It doesn't. This is not even a question anymore, And so I've just said, I'm not running anymore, And I'm also trying to pay attention in other states, and I want to help be more active in helping those individuals out. This, again, Fluffy, I love you to death. Nothing directed at you, but maybe it'll give you some perspective on what I just went through, And maybe in the future, when you think about your brothers and sisters who are in California right now, who really just don't have a way out, you know what I mean? Say what you want. You're like, oh, you can pack up and move. It's not that simple. You know what I mean? Even me with no connections here, I cannot just pack up and leave. All right? This would I would literally have to get a divorce from my wife. Her whole life is tied to here. The kids are here. I just can't. You know what I mean? I might be able to move a little bit over, but again, when are you going to stop running? That becomes the question.
But it happened quicker than you think. So yeah, again, this is an obscene law. Essentially, if you're in a residence with a minor or prohibited persons, so
I've been
like
thinking
their
about
dad
running
with their
it.
kids, you cannot store a firearm outside of a locked box, essentially. Locked government-approved box. Now, the problem with this is, obviously, if I have my kids in the other room, I probably want to have some form of protection in case, I don't know, a home intruder comes in, right? I don't want to store my guns in a locked box because by the time I get it, fiddle with the lock and get it out, everyone's already dead, right? When seconds count, police are only minutes away. So
I love him to death. That's why I'm covering him. And I really do. I think he does such a good job. But this is one that I'm not going to say I could, like I said, a lot of my friends would say any laws are gun infringements. But I do think you should, if you're a gun owner and you have children around, right, that you should lock them up, your guns, right? Your firearms should be safely stored. This is a big deal to me. And when I worked for the sheriff's department and I had everything and my kids were small, I had a biometric room that walked into 2 biometric safes. And everything was under lock and key and camera the entire time because I needed it for work. And the reality is I never wanted my child to just willy-nilly be around that. If it were us training or education, that's a totally different story, but just not lying around, So I just don't totally disagree with not having safe storage. That's me. And some people may hate me for that, but there's a lot of people out there who do, have never had any type of safety or education on it and might not make good choices. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying, I think the way around that is or the way to deal with that is look, it's going to sound kind of maybe messed up, but you should just be held liable if maybe you don't want to be held liable. Well, I mean, I don't know. It's you have to put your message in there, but make it so that basically it is the law that you act appropriately, right? You have negligent discharges, accidental discharges in the military are dealt with appropriately, right? You are accountable for whatever happens, right? And sometimes massive accidents happen, right? But at the end of the day, there should be something there to at least have an incentive for you to do the right thing, ultimately, because it does surely firearm safety is very important, you know, and I think it should be the number one thing that is focused on as well.
I mean, it's just a draconian piece of legislation, and now she's attempted to upgrade
Jeremy,
it to
please, what up?
a 6-month prison sentence and $1,000 fine. Absolutely ridiculous. Number 10.
I don't know how they're going to enforce that, though.
One of them I thought was extremely dangerous, which was the polling place and election site gun-free zone. Essentially, it massively expands the sensitive places around election sites, including things like absentee ballot drop-off box locations, which there might be one on your street, right? There might be one just sitting outside your street. And now there's a 100-foot radius. So what are you supposed to do, right? You're walking your dog. There's one right outside your house. You are crossing through that gun-free zone to get to your domicile, right?
Gun-free zone.
You are a criminal under that system, right? And you could see situations where there's like one on each side of the street, right? So then you're just like literally screwed. There's nothing you can do.
I'm also okay with sensitive places and when they call it gun-free zone, but it should be mandatory requirement, right? Like, obviously, you have police stations, you have courthouses, you have places where this is probably important, right? If you don't have individuals that are allotted per the institution, like schools and whatnot, universities, that have the right to carry on property, there must be armed security, qualified security on that premise at all times. You want to make all these gun-free fucking places, you better make them completely staffed. Big on that. I once asked our old sheriff, this is no dig at him. He's a great fucking guy. My old sheriff, excellent guy, one of the most ethical, greatest guys in the world. And I'm not just saying that because I'm going to tell you, I disagree with him on this. And some shit that happened in the past, I had said, hey, I'd be willing to volunteer my time off duty for 8 hours and go for free. And I would be on duty at wherever you guys sent me, to local schools and whatnot. I would do that for free just for the kids. You know, my kids are in school. They got to be there. I'd be for that. And he said, no, that's way too politically charged, you know, in a democratic state, if you will. So let me catch up with the comments real quick. I feel like I'm letting that get behind really bad. Or could run for office. I could. I've been thinking about running for a political, I am thinking about running for a political race. Yeah. Common sense gun reform laws, but voter ID? Yeah, whatever. Oh, they talk about common sense gun reform laws. Yeah, whatever. You can't take these fucking people serious because they're just trolling us at this point. This is why I said, at some point there has to be like a no more further. Fuck people who are not born here being able to come here and change the culture that's not at that point. Yeah, you know what? Say what you want to, say what you want about me. I don't give a shit, personally. I don't want to change very much, I'll say that, of our country. If there's something that needs to be changed, it certainly isn't much, if anything. It ain't the Constitution. It's going to be something like, yeah, I would love to have a better medical system, right? We all would. Go to Thailand and have an injury, and I'm just telling you, you'll be like, why the fuck doesn't our medical system work like this? Go to Germany, same thing, right? Now, your mayor down in New York City, Mayor Mondani, right? He is an open socialist. You can Google it. He is a literal open socialist, like full on. Played the socialist anthem at his inauguration. Like, this is not a question, right? And him and Hochul, they want to make $30 an hour minimum wage, right? They free bus rides for everybody. But who pays for that, right? In a free market. Well, obviously the individuals that run your Target and fucking Elon Musk and Walmart and the gas station or wherever other small business that goes to hire somebody that has to pay $30 fucking an hour for a brainless job. I don't care. I don't want to change the amazing parts of our free nation into some shithole place that's second place. I don't care about that. I'm not interested in it. You're not going to convince me that it's the right thing to do. Your country that you're trying to change this into has equally as many problems, probably 1,000 times more. All right. I've been to a lot of these countries, a lot of them. All right. I've been to a lot of them. And I'm telling you right now, there are things that made me want to come home, and almost every single one of them. I have never, ever been to a country in my life. I have never been to a country and been like, oh, yeah, this is so much better than where I come from. There's cool things and they're cool to visit. But when you realize that, in Thailand and Bangkok, which you could live like a king in this place, right? That a fucking guy can come and put you in prison for using a smoking device because the king says so. Not fucking cool. When you go to Britain and you realize that you could, like this comedian came over here and told a joke about the British government and used a firearm, and he was literally put in prison the second he stepped off plane. And that's Britain. Not fucking interested. Been to Germany. Go to Germany. I'm driving. This happened multiple times. Driving around with someone else. Pull you over. They just suspect whatever the fuck they want. They can take your blood by force, make you piss in a cup, do whatever they want, dude. Search your car. They can fuck your ass up, dude, if you don't comply. Not interested. And Germany is amazing. Like, I would say it's one of the best places I've ever been on earth. If there's like a good second place for me as far as like European countries go, Germany's that thing, dude. Like, I love Germany, dude. I love visiting there. There's a lot of aspects to it. But there's a shit ton of stuff that I would never want to live there full time or give up this country for. I promise you that. Guns being one of them, but there's just a lot to it, man. Everywhere's got some positive. Everywhere's got some negative. I have never been to a single country in my life where I've been like, holy shit, this is so much better than the country I came from. It's never happened. It's just never happened. I've seen better things. I've lived in places for long periods of time, and I've never seen that. I maybe somebody could disagree with me and find a better option. Maybe it's out there. I probably haven't visited that country yet. I'll tell you that, right? I'll stop yapping. I'll leave it at that. But that's how I feel about it.
But yeah, the change that she made here was very, very minor. It just had to do with the precise definition of when this area was a gun-free zone. This will still catch a lot of.
I love that
out.
rapper.
There's no signposting requirement and there's no intent requirement. So it's extremely dangerous. The campus and state building firearms ban was signed into law. This one's pretty simple. It just bans all carry on all campuses across the state of Virginia. So that includes teachers. That includes a dad picking his son up from a dorm. All of that, now a criminal. You'll go to jail for up to 12 months. Absolutely terrible.
Even if the private school says it's okay.
Change. She no longer exempted armed security officers. And this is what's weird. I don't get this one. This one had very limited press coverage. And it's just kind of like a weird change to like bother with. Armed security officers are no longer exempt. So the implicit change here is that hospital security guards are now unable to carry firearms inside the buildings.
So they changed. So they don't want weapons at hospitals and mental health facilities for very obvious reasons. Let's not be disingenuous here, right? Now, this was a thing before, right? But now they're saying that like armed security is not exempt for this. So they want you to go there. And there's a fucking law within this. You might talk about it. Where if you get taken against your will or unconscious and you are armed, you're literally liable. You will be facing court.
They are hired to protect from like, I don't know, mass shooters. So her change, one of her three changes, was to disarm the security guards.
I'm going to tell you why she did
I just don't understand that. Like, it's one that I do not understand from her perspective, especially because you didn't really need to delay this one. I think I'm like the only person on YouTube that's talked about this. This wasn't one people were getting all hot and bothered by. So I'm not entirely sure like what the point was for this.
Okay, so he's covering that, but I'm going to tell you why. So the big top groups like Everytown and all these, they state that so if an officer involved good shoot, like use of force, a fatal use of force with a firearm is still considered gun violence to these people. So they clearly they stand behind disarming the police as well. And they cite things like, well, Britain had law enforcement officers who they believe that they're not armed. They are now, They weren't. Many Bobbies weren't. They are armed. Many are armed. With a Polizei, like back when I was there, not all the Polizei were armed. In Germany, right? They all are now. They're fucking armed to the teeth, dude. Like to the teeth. Level fucking 4 body armor, dude. Fully automatic HKs. Not messing around, bro. Not messing around. And so they want to disarm them too. Why would they want to do this, right? Like crazy. Proud of you, Raptor, too. You brought that up. When your nieces are around, everything goes in the safe. Couch come close. Love it. I was showing my wife yesterday. There's a pretty cool, there's some furniture companies out there that have quick access options with a biometric.
Also,
it still
she
operates
removed the
as a
hospital
safe,
employee
cool.
authorization. So if I own a hospital and I want my employees to be able to carry, that option's no longer up to me. By the way, if I seem really
got
tired,
constitutional
because
carry,
I was up
Fluffy?
really late last night. I'm working on all this stuff. So yeah, bear with me. I know this is not my usual sort of peppiness. Also, she removed another crazy exemption. So basically, let's say I was sick and I had some mental issue, and they came and they had to, involuntarily, whether I was conscious or not, take me to one of these facilities. Now, it would be very reasonable for me to have had my gun on me, and in the process of being transported into that facility, have inadvertently crossed into a gun-free zone.
Yeah, I'm
that
on YouTube.
Exemption is now stricken. So if I have a problem and they have to take me to one of these hospitals,
here you go.
I can get charged for having a gun on me, whether or not I consented to going. So imagine, again, I have a problem, like I'm in some place where it's legal for me to carry. I'm in my own home. They take me away, bring me into a hospital. Now I'm also a criminal with a year in jail. That's the exemption she removed. That's the carve-out she removed. Absolutely insane. Makes no sense. Visible handgun in the vehicle penalty.
Why would you do that unless you were trying to jam
I disagree
people
with the
up.
Virginia Citizens Defense League on this particular bill. I am actually very okay with this. Basically, it stops people from being able to leave their handguns visible in a vehicle. The reason I'm okay with this is not because it's not really.
I'm okay with it too.
But just because, can we just not be stupid? Can we not just get our stuff stolen, please? Like, don't leave your laptop in a car visible. Don't leave your handgun in a car visible either. Should you get fined for it?
It was
absolutely not. Should the criminal get put in jail? Absolutely not.
But was it
please don't do that. That's
jailable
just stupid.
offense?
It's like not wearing a helmet. So, which again, I don't agree that the government should be able to regulate whether or not wear a helmet. But it's just you're being stupid. So that's what this one is, signed in full. I'm not hot and bothered about this. Concealed carry reciprocity is gutted in the state of Virginia. Essentially, this authorizes the attorney general to do whatever they want with the state's CCW
So
program.
if you could carry before,
I can just say North Carolinians
probably can't
are
now.
done. Like, no North Carolinian CCWs work, right? And for me, who lives in North Carolina and drives up into Virginia, that would have a massive impact on me. So we don't know exactly how this is gonna take, but yeah, it's gonna be disastrous. Just knowing who the attorney general is, really bad stuff. CHP training overhaul is a really interesting one. Really interesting one.
I got a couple more pictures for you guys.
This was
too.
a deliberate
Send
targeting of the
me.
NRA and the USCCA by name in the original bill. That was removed in later iterations, but essentially the original bill text literally said like NRA, USCCA, you can no longer offer these training courses. Now, in the new one is just a sort of overhaul of the training provisions to get the CHP. Again, I'm a constitutional carry guy. Obviously, I think that you shouldn't need this, but
what you were talking about, Fluffy.
This one is more restrained. It doesn't affect that many people. The mandatory buyback change was just a clarification.
So to be clear, in Virginia here, you couldn't conceal carry, but we had open carry law. We have a concealed handgun permit. West Virginia is the same way. You could just carry. You don't need all that shit.
To provide that the program exists to provide Virginians who choose to safely return a firearm with a safe process. Essentially, the mandatory buyback scheme is still on, right? It's by 2020.
In Florida, you do what? You have what? While I'm waiting on the answer from my boy Fluff, or from waiting for Fluffy's answer here, I'm gonna show you the pictures that were sent in to me as well of people's builds. This is my man's here. It was showing. It's going a little fast. Jeez. So that was Lando's new out of jail suppressed P90, which is really sick. That's one of those ones. My wife asked me the other day. She said, "Hey, do you own everything that you want? You think we're good? Because July 1st, it's over. And I go, "You're never really done. You're never really done. You always want something different." That is a really cool cool sight, man. And this is one of the big reasons I want to get a good big property to take veterans like hunting and fishing and everybody's kids and go four-wheeling and stuff. I'd love to have this where we could all go out on the range, Me and my wife went out, and I had something similar to this. She got to try all different handguns, and these are great days. Some of my best memories are these days. When the good Lord comes to take me and it's time to go, these are the days that I'll remember intently, outside of my kids being born and things like that. I was very blessed in life, if you will, So thank you for sending me those photos. I thought some of you guys would enjoy that. And yeah, so they got rid of the CC license, concealed carry license. You can carry as long as you're legally allowed to, right? And that's what makes sense. The Constitution says you have the right to keep and bear arms. Well, the right to keep it involves you being able to pass a background check, right? This has been a thing for a long time. Nobody disagrees with this for the most part, even though that technically it isn't difficult to make one when you have enough knowledge and so on and so forth, so long as you can legally own one. But at the end of the day, everybody does their background check, right? And the only thing I think everybody has against this is that there's basically an indefinite registry. That's not even a question. Oh, the ATF, they can't keep a registry. Dude, FFLs have to permanently keep a record of your transaction now on file. And when they go out of business, they have to hand over their registry over to the ATF. So that's just fucking gone. That's probably the only reason I don't agree with that. But other than that, if you can pass a criminal background check, then you can possess firearm. And so therefore, if you can keep arms, then you should be able to bear arms and any legal way necessary. And so I just don't agree with these concealed handgun permit schemes that states involve you to jump through hoops to do.
Localities, every single city has to set one up. But, and of course, you can't buy back what you never owned. But essentially, this was just another one to kick down the can because it's so unpopular. Again, I'm going to be up to date. I'm going to go sleep after this. But once all these things come out, I'm going to be up to date on all these. City has to set one up. But, and of course, you can't buy back what you never owned. Essentially, the mandatory buyback scheme is still on, right? It's by 2028 that the localities, every single city has to set one up. But, and of course, you can't buy back what you never owned. But essentially,
okay, so he's saying here the mandatory buyback, right? Confiscation blueprint. Now, what does he mean by that? It's okay. Look, they have to make it's mandatory that cities and states, local officials have to create a buyback program. Now, this is historically, Brandon Herrera covers this. God bless Brandon, the AK guy. Hopefully he gets into Congress here coming up soon. Great guy. Brandon talks about he would attend gun buyback programs. And historically what you've seen, a lot of the ones that have failed, because these people don't know if they're ass from their elbow when it comes to firearms most of the time. They'll say, we're getting rid of all the firearms. We're going to get rid of the guns. And they say, okay, we will give you $300 per firearm you turn in. No questions asked. What do you think people do? They get their fucking printer out. They print out 30 firearms in PLA, and they go turn them in for literally a shit ton of money so they can go buy fent on the street. That's what the fuck happens, okay? People steal firearms. All kinds of messed up shit happens. You know another thing that happens in those buyback programs? A lot of times, there are crimes that have been committed, and it's no questions asked, so they go and get rid of these firearms, dude. Like, nobody in their right mind that doesn't have to is going, oh, yeah, fuck it, man. Oh, yeah, I just bought all these guns last year. I'm going to go sell them back for half the price. It just doesn't happen. You know what I mean? So this whole scheme, that the confiscation blueprint, it's so that inevitably they can say, okay, now possession's illegal. We have the infrastructure. You have to sell them back. And that's what that's about. So be very wary of that.
This was just another one to kick down the can because it's so unpopular. Again, I'm going to be up to date. I'm going to go sleep after this. But once all these things come out, I'm going to be up to date on all these bills as they come in, as the House debates them, and as we get further changes to all this stuff. All right, the hate crime firearm ban, which is permanent. Essentially, the governor's ban reduces it to a 3-year prohibition from the date of conviction. This is another one I just thought is weird. Like, from her perspective, why wouldn't you want a lifetime ban on gun owners after a hate crime misdemeanor conviction, right? Again, do I think you should be able to be disarmed for life for a misdemeanor? Of course, I don't think that. But why doesn't she? I mean, she is the queen of the anti-gunners. Why doesn't she want this?
Does
I
sound
do
like
not
what
understand the
Australia
change. Here, also, the prohibition applies to firearms only. Again, narrowing the change. I don't really get it. Like, you would think she would want, she removed the ban, yeah, exactly, on ammunition, stun weapons, and explosives. I don't really get that. It's kind of weird, right, from her perspective. But, again, kicking another can down the road. Very, very strange change. Hard to understand why. The last one is the Gun Violence Prevention Center. Essentially, she expanded the advisory work group to 18 members. What this does essentially is give money to anti-gun groups to create more anti-gun policy, basically using your taxpayer dollars to continue funding your rights being taken away. And of course, she has no problem with that and will sign this into law, I'm sure, when it comes back around again. Anyway, guys, those are the main bills. I just wanted to give a quick overview. I am extremely tired. I basically did not sleep last night. So if you did enjoy this, please make sure to subscribe down below. I know I was a little bit more incoherent than I typically am.
Oh, I'm going to put his
trying to get through all that and give you guys the information.
Again in the chat.
All that information comes from the best understanding I have at this current time.
Chat,
these things will change and will develop over time. So if you're watching this a month from now, it might be out of date, right? That's just the reality. I'll keep you up to date on all this stuff. This is insanely important. Insanely important. Draconian things are going on in the beautiful state of Virginia, but unfortunately, that's the way it goes sometimes. Anyway, guys, thank you so much.
Your pistol is now a felony. No grandfather clause. Maryland just banned Glocks, like all Glocks. Like there's just a lot of weird dystopian shit happening. I'm gonna pull up his description. Dude, I think yesterday he wasn't even at 10K subs, and now all of a sudden he's at almost 11. I'm telling you, he's popping off. I love this guy. I watch everything he puts out, man. And I'm really appreciative that he's covering. Because when he first started going, this is his website. Wait, it's too many. Apparently, it's too many. Okay. I guess it's too many characters. Okay. Does he not have it in the description? We could view his channel, I think. Bearing Freedom. I don't know. He has a website. Let me see.
Broad now.
Isn't that one we just covered? Speaking events. He's got to have one of these in the description, no?
And
he's got a website called stopspamburger.com or something. Yeah, it's right here. Get this. So he started making videos, and he was covering like national news all over the place, like Mark does from Four Boxes Diner, and like Coleone does, and many people do, right? And he has since really laser focused on our state here. And so I hope that helped you guys a lot. It's like I said, it's coming to a state near you. It's not just Virginia. It's not an overreaction. It's not an overstatement to say that it could happen to you. Just yesterday, before this happened and they started sending all this legislature down, they basically we had a bunch of 2A groups go down, and they were marching down to Richmond and stuff, and these guys are wearing full plate armor, 50 cal Barretts, and this was a very, very open, free state, man, and a great place to live. And now it feels like you're being choked for real, and you're being discriminated against genuinely all the time. It's just they're out to get you, and that may sound scary and paranoid, or I don't know what you think it sounds like, but I get it, man. I know a lot of other people have probably thought the same thing and thought, well, that's what you voted for. I didn't fucking vote for it. And a lot of people, my whole county, nobody voted for this. My whole county is right wing. If you ever look at it'll tell you a lot, like specifically with Virginia, how we vote. Let me pull it up here, actually. I'm going to pull it up. How Virginia votes So this is such an annoying setup. Sorry about that. Virginia votes versus. Let me see if I can pull this up here in an image. Okay, so. Well, I mean, it's hard here. I'm trying to find the picture of what they're trying to change it into. So I'm gonna pull it up here, anyways. So this will kind of show you though, like this is how this is an actual picture from like the presidential run. This is how we actually vote, time and time and time again. Okay, vote like this, and these little tiny blue areas literally decide the fate of the rest of the state. So when you say, oh, this could never happen to me, yeah? Well, if you happen to live in a place that has large cities with tons of people moving in from places that aren't from here, it can happen to you. But there is a picture of the redistricting. I wish I could find the damn... I got to be honest. I got to get Chrome up on here because this web browser sucks ass, dude. I don't know. I can't find it. It was on X too. It was like a really good... I've seen it all over the place for their redistricting campaign. Let's see if I could just pull up Chrome and see real quick. I'm sorry it's taking me so long. This is so annoying. Votes. I can't find it. Go fuck figure. I probably should have had it ready before. But it basically puts all the Republicans into a corner after the redistricting. I'm not going to be able to find it. But yeah, it can happen to you, man. It can happen to you. I remember a guy from Florida went to New York, helped his sister move, took a right-hand turn on a red light like any normal person would, but you can't do that in New York, yeah? Forget about that, yeah? Got pulled over and had a gun, 10 years minimum. Yeah, man. There's another case of a guy that, who knows? I mean, it could have been legal when he was doing this, own a bunch of stuff, you know. Normal gunsmith. I don't remember if he was a veteran or not. He's serving 10 years in like Sing Sing right now because he got caught with illegal guns that they're all legally acquired. And they said he had stockpile of ammunition. I think he had 900 rounds. Type in Virginia redistricting map. Okay. Pull this up here. You could do it with me. Virginia redistricting. I'm so tired of seeing her fucking face, dude. Because I'm just being honest. It's literally the face of tyranny, man. None of these are showing it. They're acting like Bing is full of shit. Yeah, this is it right here, though. The smaller map on the bottom is what it's going to look like. Because they all pipeline. If you could see it here. So our current district, right, is like this. Like we're district like this, where we're very evenly mapped and so on and so forth, right? With a larger percentage of Democrats, if you will, voting. Now, when we vote, we look like this, which is interesting. Hold on. Let's click on that again. What the hell? But they want to pipeline all of the votes back into these few cities near D.C. You know what I'm saying? So, 10 districts, all pipeline back in. So basically they could steal seats in Congress. Fuck, yeah, dude. Yeah. It's so blatantly obvious, right? And we all suffer at the hands of these psychopaths. Voter mapping, imagine. Yeah. We are wicked screwed when that happens. And with all this shit, dude, the Supreme Court needs to step in Congress, whatever. The government needs to step in, the federal government. Never thought I would say this. They need to step in and make it clear. You can't ban a standard capacity magazine. You can't ban an AR-15 or semi-automatic rifle. It's just not a fucking thing. If it's in common use, and they're all in common use. The Supreme Court has already ruled anything in common use can't be fucking banned. They just keep doing it. There needs to be a stop put to this. We are so headed towards like a clash, man. I'm telling you, dude. Like, I used to think that thought process was nuts. It's coming, man. It's coming because it's so wildly dystopian. It's so crazy, bro. And the thing is that many of your kids, many of my kids, your kids, everybody's kids, are going to naturally vote to have their rights removed. They will willingly, with no idea why, they'll vote to be monitored in what they say. They're going to vote to remove the Second Amendment because they've never shot or whatever. Kids don't go outside anymore, man. And they'll have no idea what they're giving up. This is why I always say, like, the constant psyop it's literally to win the hearts and minds of the next generation. It's not meant for you and I, right? And if you're a younger buck in the crowd and you're quick with it and you love your Second Amendment, all the rights and freedoms that you have afforded to you as an American, thank you. Talk to your friends, you know? But you listen to guys talk about, there's a really pretty interesting speech where an AOC is just, that dumbass is just blabbering off at the mouth, yapping. Just let her talk, and she just makes herself look like a moron. And she's going, yammering on, yap, 30 magazine assault clips, blah, 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 blah. She's fucking going on and on and on. Doesn't know a fucking asshole from the elbow, dude. The person is an idiot. And another senator comes in, and he's from Louisiana, and, you know, he's sitting there talking, and he lets her go and go and go, and she wants to ban everything and do all this shit and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, I can remember back with my grandpappy, every single one of us had a truck, and we would go to school, and we would every car in the parking lot, there was a shotgun in the back window, and underneath the seat was a pistol. And that's true. That was the way it was for my parents. In Massachusetts, they had literal skeet shooting and sportsman hunting classes and stuff where you literally would bring in a firearm and store it with you at school. And this man was talking about, in Louisiana, I want to work construction, and we will go around, and we will go down, and we will be building through houses. And when we would go through them houses, you could tell how old the house was based on the fact of whether or not it had locks on the doors. A lot of them houses didn't have locks on the doors. Why? Because we had the Second Amendment. If you wasn't supposed to be there, you had the Second Amendment to take care of that problem. You didn't have to lock your doors. You loved your neighbors. People come on over. You know who's supposed to be there and who's not. And I'm just like, why the fuck wouldn't anybody want to live like that? I'm going to be honest. Armed societies, polite society. I love that guy. You think I'm full of shit, dude? I'm about to pull up the fucking video right now, bro. Excellent point. My headset's dying, so I'm going to have to freaking jump out. Really good with accents? I appreciate that. I try to be good. I'm losing as I get older, though. She's a bartender idiot. Yeah, she's a fucking dope, dude. She is a dope. And there's a lot of dopes, dude, that are in charge. That's why I said I'm thinking about running for office, man, at some point. Brandon did it. And I think it's the most honorable thing in the world because he has so many businesses and things to run. He's got so much shit to do. You don't need to be running for Congress, dude. That's got to be annoying, you know? And you gotta dedicate yourself. It's a 24/7 fucking job. Because like think about it like this. Right now, people are waiting to hear king, queen, fucking dictator, the Democratic Republic of North Korea, Virginia here, fucking Spamberger to make her decision. Everybody's willy-nilly upon the empress herself, right? As she makes her decision. She can't have a fucking sick day. She has an argument with her spouse at home. Can't leave everybody. Dude, there's people waiting at the helm. So it's a 24/7 job. And these people don't act like it. I'll tell you that. And that's one of the things we're missing too. You know, we need people who do the damn job, you know, that are on call all the time to do their damn job for their allotted time. You know, you get paid pretty damn fucking well. And you're supposed to represent the people and your constituents. You should do that. Yeah, I was going to pull up that video, but I don't want to overstay my welcome. This stream's already went on pretty long, and it's supposed to be dedicated to bearing freedom. So, but yeah, man. You're from LA? I got you. I was from Salinas, so for sure. Yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed the content and the stream, this new stuff. It's not always going to be negative, Debbie Downer, negative content like this. I intend to have some really fun, entertaining 2A content. Tons of gaming content. Tons of stuff we're going to be like. I think Nick Freitas, Special Forces, Green Beret, Ranger, high-speed guy. Also, I think former politician as well. Great. I love watching it. He makes great content. He's got a book out like How to Be a Man or something. Let me see if I can pull it up. Let's see this here. I want to kind of take the channel in this direction. I think you guys will enjoy it. New book. The Man Book. What? Yeah, more monitoring. This guy here, he's great, dude. A point-by-point guide. How to cook a steak. Run for office. Go to church. Win a fight. Kick down a door. Oh my God, you can click on each one. Choose a whiskey. He's got one to how to pit maneuver a car. Flirt with your wife. Dude, this shit, it's amazing, bro. Go check him out. Another great fucking guy. I like freaking, but I kind of want to take that channel in that kind of a direction. A lot of positive stuff, you know what I mean? I know a lot of people express to me like, yeah, I want to get down with this too, and let's do it, you know? That's the whole plan of the channel. So yeah, I think without further ado, man, I'm going to go ahead and call it there. Probably end up, but I'll be back on tomorrow night, and you guys can tell me, shoot me a message. Let me know if you liked it, man. Let me know what you think of the new desk. My headset just died, or my ears just died. Kids today will never know what it was like growing up in the late 70s and 80s. No one at home, all the windows and doors wide open, and not worried about someone stealing your shit. Yeah, dude, I miss it. Brick for Congress. I don't know, bro. I feel like it might be in the works, you know? I'm just not someone who just sits back and complains and doesn't come up with solutions, you know? I really got other shit to do, but some days it's coming to your door and eventually you got to do something about it. Windows down, keys in the ignition all day and night. That's facts. That's actually that's true. It is true. Yeah. Yeah. You could leave your car running and go in the store. I'm not saying you should. I'm not saying you should leave your kids out front, but that used to be a thing. People leaving their kids outside the store. Totally different. And people like, that's because you're stupid and old and blah. No, it's because people were way more calm and normal and connected community-wise. You know what I mean? Yeah. Another thing, there was repercussions for your actions. That's another thing that's fucking missing. Without further ado, man, I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys loved and enjoyed everything that we're doing around here. And love you guys to death, man. It really is fucking amazing to be able to come hang with my people, dude. And I'm sure I'm your people. You're my people if you're here, dude. And yeah, let's take back the country, man. Let's do some good stuff, right? And hopefully I can be a positive influence. This is not always bitching. But I got to call these people when they're fucking wrong. They're wrong. GG's to you too. Later, y'all. I will see you later. I'll see you tomorrow. All right? Bye. If I can find my stop streaming button.